should have audio right now. I'm not sure what is going on with my ATEM Mini Pro, but welcome. Yeah, so now I got audio, so I apologize for that. I was actually streaming from my ATEM Mini Pro on the table to the streaming bridge into my ISO number 2, extreme ISO number 2, and then that was feeding into extreme ISO number 1. And so I'm just trying to figure out what is going on here with audio. So let me play with something here real quick. We'll figure out what's going on here. So let's see, how can we do this? Let's go into SuperSource. We're going to solve this tonight together. So I will say hi in the chat here in a minute. So let's go to SuperSource. Let's use this other one. So what happens, you take a week off, you're a little out of practice. I'll get my camera up there. Stand by. We are going to make EOS R. So I'm in the display here. So let's switch this up. Let's go to box 1. And I'm going to bring this over here. And we will make box number 2. See, box number 1 is my other desk. Box number 3, but I want to show you guys my desktop. So we're going to steal box number 1 here real quick. And, let's go back to box number 2. And we're going to steal that here for a minute. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go up here into connections. First thing we're going to look at here is my ATEM Mini Pro. So we're opening it up here. We're going to look at audio. Check. Well, we have audio coming out of the mic. So that is right. So that should be feeding. That doesn't need to be panned. That should be feeding over. So now let's go into ISO number 2. And that is coming in to channel number 4. Okay, so then let's go to extreme ISO number 1. And it's not live, that's why. So it should be check. So now we go back here. Box 2. And let's watch our audio settings. Mute this. Testing 1, 2. Okay, we have audio, and you have lots of different views. Got my chair in the way of one of the views. So all kinds of different angles. So this main view right here, this camera right here, it's got latency. This is my ATEM Mini Pro. It's right here on the desk, and I only have one channel coming into that. And that is going through the network into my streaming bridge. So this camera right here goes to my ATEM Mini Pro, comes through the network cable right here into the streaming bridge, which goes into my ISO number 2, because I have an extreme ISO 1, extreme ISO number 2 in the studio, and I have an ATEM Mini Pro. And the reason I wanted to do this retro stream with y'all is because, let's go back to this other view here. The reason I wanted to do this retro stream with you all is because, give me a little bit more volume, make sure you guys can hear me well. Crank that a little more. It's about as much as I can go. I even have a cloud lifter here to help me with the audio. I do have some latency, so the lips might be off. I apologize. But I just wanted to say the ATEM Mini Pro has been marked down, and it's a great tool to stream from. Now, if I was streaming directly to it, I could do some delay on the lip sync, and I'm sure it's off tonight. But I only wanted to just say a shout out to everyone who's using the ATEM Mini Pro. It has encoding built in, streaming built in. You can actually stream to a bunch of different social media locations, and you can stream to a streaming bridge. And what the streaming bridge does is lets you go through your Ethernet, your network, in your studio through your network to a streaming bridge, or you can actually go outside to someone else's streaming bridge. They'd have to give you the password. They'd have to give you the ability to get through into their network. But you could go live somewhere, and I'm sending audio from this microphone, my RodeCater Pro version 1, that is sending the audio into channel 1 of my ATEM Mini Pro, and that's coming in right here from this adapter. So this is going from 2/4 inch outs, right and left. They mix into a stereo input, and I have that first channel on. I left my phone over there, but I'll give you guys a tour of this here just shortly. And so then this is going to my streaming bridge, into my desk, over to my desk, through the network to my streaming bridge, coming into a channel in my Extreme ISO number 2. And then that feeds into my Extreme ISO number 1. So I don't know why I have this crazy setup, but it's true. And I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that are using the ATEM Mini Pro, because it's a great tool. You can stream from it. You can do keying. You can have a green screen effect. You have picture in picture. It doesn't have super source, so you can't do like 4 boxes in a window, but you can do a full-size picture of you and then have a picture in picture on the bottom right. And you can do some tricks with flying key and all of that as well. So I wanted to set up with the old RodeCater Pro with a PodMIC going into my ATEM Mini Pro and stream from my Canon 5D Mark III, which will time out here in about 20 more minutes because it doesn't stay on indefinitely. And then that signal goes to my streaming bridge into my regular setup. Now I'm streaming from my Extreme ISO number 1 tonight. I'm not streaming from the ATEM Mini Pro out to YouTube, but I am streaming from my ATEM Mini Pro, not to a social media site, but I'm actually streaming to my streaming bridge. So it shows up just like a destination, and you can put a password in, and the streaming bridge will let you do that. Now, the new Television Studio HD ISO actually has streaming bridges built into every single channel, which is incredible when you think about it. If you want to learn more about that, Aaron Parecki did a live stream on Sunday on his channel, and he has a loaner HD8 ISO, and he has a loaner camera, and he's streaming directly from the camera to his iPhone, linking it to his studio into his borrowed from Blackmagic Design Television Studio HD8 ISO. There's also a new 4K HD8, so you could go 4K with the new console. Lots of cool things from Blackmagic Design. But this is streaming bridge signal coming into my studio, and my lips are probably off. So let's go back over to the desk and let me know if the lips were off. So I'm going to go back over here to, where is my 3 box here? No, you're here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so obviously we've already set this up for doing a Apple screencast for my iPhone. We'll do that here in a second, but let me go back to the other desk. I'm going to mute this mic. unmute that mic, and now I'm back at the desk, and I will have to catch up with the chat, and I apologize. I am just really testing myself tonight, trying to do some crazy things. So let me bring this back over here. I am live. Let's get this mouse on this computer, and I will try to catch up with all things you guys. Turn my email off. Let's get the chat over here where I can see it. Okay. Chat. Cool. So let me turn chat on the air. We'll just say hi to everybody here. Chat on. And let's just go through the list here and say hi. Good to have you here, David. I just wanted to say hi. You were the first in, so you get all the bonus points tonight, 15 bonus points for being here first. I'm not sure what you can use the bonus points for, but you get the bonus points. And then Hank said he has to leave shortly. I get it. I have kids too and grandchildren, and I understand that. I actually was busy last week, so we didn't go live. And I'll talk more about that later tonight and show you some pictures of the audio setup, as well as talk about an app I was using on an iPad, not this one. Right now I'm using Mix Effect on my iPad so I can go back and forth and control the stream. So shout out to you, Hank. It's good to have you, David, in the chat. Yeah, we got audio corrected. That's all on me. Audio, please. Hopefully you guys have audio now. It looks like I have audio. I know this is not my new setup, but I do want to stream from the patio. So David, to answer that question, I'm going to use this exact setup that I have tonight so I can start my live stream on the patio. We're going to do that in late July. And I'm going to be able to start the stream from my patio using the streaming bridge. So I'll take my ATEM Mini Pro out there and a camera, and then we'll be able to stream into the studio. So we'll start our stream out there. It's way too warm right now, so we may have to wait till after July. At 4 o'clock my time, it's very hot outside. It is cooling off. I think the highest temperature today was in the high or low 90s. It was in the hundreds. That's Fahrenheit here in the United States. So good to have you, Tony, and I hope we all hear audio. Double audio, shouldn't have double audio anymore, but let me know if you do, Jay. Echo there, yeah, that should be. That should be off. We'll check one more thing here real quick. Go into the ATEM Mini Pro and make sure my camera audio is off. Yes, it is. So that should be not getting echo now. Let me guys know in the chat if there is. Okay, audio is fine. Thanks, David. Okay. Yeah, bad audio sync on that 5D Mark IV or 5D Mark III. Let me go in there. We're going to try something here. I'll show you guys what I'm doing here just so you guys can see this, and we'll make it a part of tonight's live stream. So let's do this. Turn chat off the air just here for a second. And let's go into Super Source here. We'll do a 2-box layout here. Box 2 is going to be my laptop. Box 1 is going to be my EOS R. Turn this on. There we go. We'll make box 1 a little smaller and off to the left and up a bit You can see what I'm doing over here, adjusting this. Then we're going to go to box 2. We're going to make it a little bit larger. Okay, so what I'm going to do, box 1, a tiny bit smaller. Let's go even smaller. Not that important to see my face right now. I do want to play with this right here. Bring this down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go up here into connections, top left. Going to go to my ATEM Mini Pro. And we'll go to audio settings. I'm going to add some delay here. Let's do 4 frames of delay. And then we are going to go back to ATEM 1. There we go. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back again. We'll see if the lips are on. So let's go like this. Me and the logo, we're going to mute this mic. And let me know now if my lips are in sync. So testing 1, 2, 3. And again, there is latency from this camera into my ATEM Mini Pro out to my streaming bridge on my network, and then into my ISO number 2. That comes into my extreme ISO number 1, and then you guys see it. So there might be some delay, but I added 5 frames of delay to try to get the audio and my lips in sync. So let's just quickly go back to the desk now. And let me know if those lips were in sync this time. Let me pull chat over here. Little crazy in the studio tonight just because I'm trying to do too much, run from 2 desks, try to handle audio from 2 RodeCater Pros. So this audio is coming through my RodeCater Pro version 2. And the audio on the desk is going through this RodeCater Pro version 1 right there. So a lot of little challenges, but that's what I love about my streams is I like the challenge. So hopefully you guys like the challenge too. Hank says lip sync. Let's do this. Chat on the air. Hank says lip sync is good. It's good to have you, Lieutenant A.K. Allen. Thanks for joining us tonight. 180 Productions, hello. Good to have you. Thanks for joining me. I did send out an email alert tonight because I haven't been on, I think out of 5 or 6 Tuesdays, I've missed 2. So I did send out a Wix email alert today. If you're not on that mailing list, you can get on that mailing list. I don't do mailers that often, probably maybe once a quarter, but I did decide to do that tonight. Cool. I'm glad that's much better. Thank you for that update, David. We have David 1 tonight and David 2. David Grisco, I think, and then David Osler, all the way from down under. Jay had a stream and said he had a big issue last week streaming, but I got them sorted out last night. Yeah, TVJ was on last night. Jay, I didn't get the chance to watch the whole stream. My life has kind of been crazy this summer. We are going to talk about that tonight, but I do want to give a tour of the table. And you're still, Jay, let us know you're using OBS, right, for all your live streams. And you had a Google Chrome issue last night freezing. So let us know if that's still OBS. And That would be cool. Thanks, David. I'm not sure I can say I'm a streaming guru, but that's what my channel is about. I like to stretch myself. And to be honest with you, I have 3 switchers. I have 2 extreme ISOs. I have the one Extreme Pro. I have the streaming bridge. I also have, you know, obviously I can use OBS. I have 2 PCs. So I like to have 2 PCs. One can just be monitoring what's happening with the stream, and I can show my desktop from my laptop. And then I have a PC for doing chat. So tonight I'm using OBS to display chat. And let's see, I can show that right now. So let's do this again. Got to move this back over so I can pay attention to what's going on. We'll bring that 2 box back on. Let's turn chat off the air. Let's bring the 2 box back on. And bring this back up here. I want to change from box 2 to my PC. And so I'm full screen displaying OBS. So that's what you're seeing there. So it's up there. And then if I bring chat on the air, it'll show up inside the stream. You're seeing my PC. And so basically my PC, I have my screen duplicated 3 times. So that's right. One goes to my BenQ monitor. One goes to my my Wacom One tablet, and then one goes into my ATEM Extreme ISO number 1, so I can bring it on the screen with the key. And so I'm just really doing a macro to turn the key off the air so chat goes off and chat goes back on again. And then if I tap that particular chat of David's while it's live with my Wacom pin, then it goes off and on again. So when you tap the chat with your mouse or on a Wacom tablet with the pin, then the chat goes away, it pops up, pops down, and then I can bring Jay on the air, and you see it coming up in both boxes because that one box is just showing you the display from my PC, and the other box is showing you, or the other is the actual chat coming on and off the air by using a key. And it's a little complicated, but again, not really diving too much into how you do that, but I wanted you guys to see that that chat is on the air all the time in one of my key boxes on my multi-view, and then I have to hit a macro to bring it actually on the screen. So if I hit my macro right here, me and a logo, it switches to this view, and then if I turn the chat back on the air, then there it is. I've got Jay's chat on the screen. He uses OBS for chat as well, so thank you. He said he switched to Television Studio HD, so that's really cool. Is that the newer version, or is that the older rack-mounted version, Jay? I would love to know. And David says maybe Jay's issue is because of hardware acceleration, which is being used by OBS too, so maybe there's some dual issues there. I rarely ever use Google Chrome inside OBS, but lots of reasons. And TVJ is trying to have a separate browser like Brave, but with hardware acceleration disabled, it's the settings. Cool. Well, thank you for that super chat. $5 from 180 Productions. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate that very much. We've got the little action figure up there as well, so thank you so much. Obviously, that money goes towards things in the studio normally, so thank you very much. I do have some things I'm planning on doing. We're going to talk about those a little bit later, but again, thank you for that super chat. No questions there, but and it might be just the little animation. I don't know. I haven't done that in anybody else's channel, but I do have those animations turned on now. And again, to see that animation, there it is. And I think if there was a question in that super chat, it would be appearing between your logo and the $5 little gold sign, as well as the little icon animation that's happening in the right-hand side. So thank you for that. Okay, we'll turn that off. And okay, so a little bit about where we're going tonight. We'll say hi to some more people in the chat here in just a second. If there is anybody else joining us, just looking down here, I think I've caught up with everybody. Oh, there's Doug. Good to have you, Doug, from Force Online. Go check out his channel. In fact, go ahead and write down all of these names and check out their channels. Tony has a channel. Yes, I thank you. You are welcome back. Okay, so let me just go back up here, make sure I have not missed any questions. Yeah, okay, so if you have any questions about what we've done so far tonight, I just want to break it down. If you just joined me, we streamed from an ATEM Mini Pro on the desk to a streaming bridge. The streaming bridge is mounted underneath my desk. It basically has a Ethernet port in. It has SDI pass-through, SDI out, and an HDMI out. I came out of the HDMI out into my Extreme ISO number 2. And then once you have a camera going into an ATEM Mini Pro, and you could do a web presenter, Pro, HD, web presenter 4K, you could then stream directly from the web presenter to a streaming bridge. You can stream directly from a ATEM Mini Pro to a streaming bridge. It has to have streaming capability, and the ATEM Mini does not, but the Mini Pro and the Mini Pro ISO do. So do the Extreme ISO. You could even use a television studio to stream to a streaming bridge. But when you do choose to stream from that ATEM Mini Pro to a streaming bridge, you can't then stream out also to a social media site. So it's really a good tool for inside a building if you wanted to join a stream in another room, or do like a conference setup where everybody stays in their office, but they can all be in a conference room talking together and recording the conversation. Or if they wanted to join remotely to a conference, you could join a Zoom conference that way. So I could have someone come remotely into my ATEM Mini Pro, come out of my ATEM Mini or my Extreme, come out of my Extreme through the USB-C cable into Zoom or into Microsoft Meetings or whatever, Teams, all of that you can do with the streaming bridge. It's just really a way to remote in from a Blackmagic Design switcher or a web presenter or the new television studios. I think they can all stream directly to them. And then the streaming bridges have been added to the new television studio HD ISO. So not only will it record all of the H inputs on the new television studio console HD ISO, but it'll also, you can stream to it from a camera, and some of the newer cameras have been updated to be able to stream directly through Ethernet. And there is a little latency. We're going to do a little latency test here in a minute. So you're going to be able to watch me clap on a camera that's plugged in right here directly into my Extreme ISO. And you're also going to see how delayed the clap is coming from my streaming bridge. So let's go do that right now. Okay, here's the 3-box. Seriously. Let's see, what camera timed out? My 5D Mark III main camera. Sorry about that. So you should have audio now. saying a hi to Joe. I don't have access to the chat, but I am going to do a little trick here now. Actually, let's go back to this view real quick. Gonna screencast here in just a minute if it gets to work here. Are we screencasting? Not working. Okay, let's try this again. So as it is, it's working now. Good. I'm going to open up the legacy version of this app. Is it going to screencast here? Try this again. Waiting for it to screencast. Seriously. Okay, well, it's not going to screencast. So let's turn it off. We'll try this again here momentarily. Stop mirroring. And so weird, it's not screen sharing. Let's try this again. Finally. Okay. Now, back into this app. Cool. $3. There we go. So here is the ATEM Mini Pro. My coffee. I gotta look back at the camera. So I have one input. I have an HDMI coming in, going to the 5D Mark III. I have a 3.5 jack. This is a adapter, and it's got a right and left 1/4 inch, and that is then combined down to 3.5. I have a CAT cable coming out. I also have a hard SD drive, so I could hit record right now, and it's going to start recording to that drive. I am on the air because I am streaming to my streaming bridge, so you guys can see that. I have the RodeCater Pro. I'm using channel 1. I have a cloud lifter coming to this microphone, and you use phantom power when you have the cloud lifter. And so that increases your gain, and that gives me good gain on this microphone. And then if I exit out of this, you can just see my levels right there. So you have level meters. So there's the level audio coming out there. Here's the monitor that I'm using to see what's happening. And then I have this stand, so we're going to use it here real quick. Okay, nice little display right there. And so now we're gonna clap. So watch the screen. Here we go. So you can see the latency between the top left camera and the one that's a streaming bridge, which is this camera right here. So that camera and even my phone that is casting to an Apple TV. It's about a half a clap off, but the streaming bridge has about 1 second of latency. So just wanted to give you guys a look here. Let's zoom in. Move us over just a little bit. So again, you have 4 inputs on the ATEM Mini Pro. You have 2 mic inputs. Those are right there, mic 1, mic 2, 4 HDMI inputs, 1 HDMI out. I do not have a monitor, but you can do multi-view. And then you have USB-C out. This can be a webcam or record to an SD drive like this. I think this one's a 2 terabyte, 100 or over 1,000 megabytes a second. I think that one is. You have the power cable. Mine came without a screwing in power cable. Can you guys see that? Yeah, right there. And then I have an Ethernet cable going over there into my Unify adapter, my 8-port switch. And so again, I still can take mix effects on the iPad with me and change just to ATEM camera. This is my 5D Mark III, and you guys just get it. And I can see audio going up and down, even though when I'm away from the microphone, it's not as loud. So that is kind of a tour of the desk. Making sure I didn't miss anything here. Let's go back to my 3 box. I don't have a mouse or anything over here right now, so I can't play around with chat, but I could see it on my phone if I wasn't casting. But again, this ATEM Mini Pro, it does have a little matrix here. So if I wanted to just monitor input number 1, I could push this button. And if I was using this HDMI out right there on the far right, it would then show multi-view. If I have multi-view on, program, channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, that would be those 4 inputs. I'm in 1, 2, 3, and 4 empty. And then that 5th one is the HDMI out. So I would be able to switch with this little matrix on the front. When you get an extreme ISO, you have 8 options for 8 different channels, and you have 2 HDMI outs. And then the SDI models have even more outputs than the extreme ISO HDMI and the extreme HDMI switch. So again, you can see I am actually recording now, and I am streaming to my streaming bridge. Now, if I was to push this button right now, it would kill the off button. It would kill the streaming bridge in the middle of my live show. And that means that this camera, the biggest camera here on the right, would be gone. I'm not going to do that. So, but I can stop recording right now, even though I'm live. I could fade the black, and that means the audio and this would go black. If I unfade the black, I have the ability to have audio again. So that's just a little rundown. And then again, I have the older version of the RodeCater Pro. I'm also using Mix Effect, and there's a look at it. So I could go to the switcher view just by scrolling up. So there is the switcher view. And then this Mix Effect is controlling my extreme ISO, not my ATEM Mini Pro. I could switch that if I wanted to, but this is controlling my main show. And you can see I'm live. It shows me red that I'm live. So, okay. So we're going to go back up here to macros. And let's hit this macro right here. Where is it? ATEM Mini Pro right there. And that gives me just this channel. I'm sorry, I haven't been looking into this camera, but so different angle in my studio on the table tonight. I wanted to kind of have an angle into the corner. First time I've done this angle before. You guys get to see it here, but the ATEM Mini Pro is a great tool. It's not very expensive anymore. They've lowered the price, so you can pick one of these up pretty cheap. I think it's under $300 now. So great tool. You can encode into it, record the program out. You have a picture-in-picture, you have an upstream key and a downstream key, 4 inputs. You can turn audio on and off for all 4 HDMI inputs, and you have audio on and off on mic 1 and mic 2. So mic 1 could be going into your audio interface, and the mic input 2 could be a lab mic, like a Go microphone. It could be a DJI mic kit. You could actually plug it in. You have the ability to change it from mic level to line level, and there's an extra mic level built into the control software now. So that is kind of a look at using the ATEM Mini Pro as a streaming bridge broadcast tool. So I could take this same setup and this camera on the patio and then stream into my network from the patio, and then come back to the studio and be live in the studio or live on my porch. And that's what we're playing with tonight. Even though I'm doing an old school stream from my ATEM Mini Pro using my 5D Mark III as my main camera for this part of tonight's live stream, it's also given me an opportunity to practice a little bit for going out on the patio. Now, I did this one other time using my 5D Mark IV, I believe, where I streamed from my garage. And so I will put a link to that stream below. You can see me using the streaming bridge. And then I showed kind of a behind the scenes look at the streaming bridge as well. This has been probably 8 months ago, so check that out. So let's mute the mic, head back over to the desk. And I'm back on the desk, setting up my monitor. Should have audio. So that's kind of a crazy look at using the ATEM Mini Pro as a streaming bridge broadcasting tool. I love having the streaming bridge in my studio so that I can stream from somewhere else in the house. You just have to be able to tap into your network. So I actually have a long network cable that I can use, and the closest hubs I have for my house that weren't being used till recently is all the way back here. There is a network port in my son's room and a network port in my bedroom. But most likely when I go to stream on my patio, I'm just gonna run my network cable through the house here to the studio. So just gives me one more option to have another location. So let me know if you enjoyed that behind the scenes, and let me do one more thing here. I'm going to go back to this 2-box layout, and I want to change, let's see, box 2 is going to be Extreme 2, yeah, and box 1 is going to be my main camera. Okay, so now let's put SuperSource on the screen. So here I am at my desk. So here's my Wacom One tablet. So I can choose different chats. This is my Skycam. So I have 5, 6 different locations programmed right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then my Skycam is located right up there. And that's what I play in the intro of my studio. The streaming bridge is coming right in here. And yes, I have a switch. I have program coming out. This goes to my program, or from my program, this is my streaming bridge. So tonight I have the switch on number 2, and that lets the streaming bridge come right in here to channel 4. And then this whole deck, I can come in through this matrix right here to this channel right here, channel 1. And that's what I was bringing the streaming bridge into the main show. Sorry, let's take the mic over here. So again, I have a switch and I have it set for streaming bridge. It comes into channel 4 on extreme ISO number 2. Extreme ISO number 1 receives 1 or 2 inputs right here, and I can switch up those inputs with this matrix, or I can use the control software to change up input number 2. So right now I have streaming bridge coming in right here, and I have my Apple iPhone casting happening right here in channel 4. And there you can see them on my multi-view. Here's camera 1, which is the 5D Mark IV right there. My main camera that I'm using is my EOS R right there. Then that is my Extreme Out number 1. That is the streaming bridge. That is me casting my Apple TV through Extreme Output number 2. So these 2 channels are coming from the other Extreme ISO. I can only bring 2 in at a time, so I have to pick which things I want to come in the live show. And then I have my laptop. That is the OBS coming in right there, screencasting. And then I have a HyperDeck right here. That's Phil and Key right there. And that's this HyperDeck right here. This HyperDeck, which is playing right now, Dominic and I, hit stop. That comes in right here. And my shuttle, which is this shuttle, comes in right here. So if I wanted to bring my shuttle in, I would have to change what's coming in the matrix. And right now, this matrix, sorry, right here is bringing in my streaming bridge. And so if I wanted my shuttle to come in, I'd have to change it to channel 6 right here. So I can literally change what's coming in to Extreme Input number 1. And I love that. Sorry about the audio. So I should have had a lapel mic on. So that's my RodeCater Pro 2. So that's working tonight. I have the RodeCater Pro 1 right there, and that is working tonight. And here's a shot of the table, the headphones, straighten that out. And if I go this way, you have the 5D Mark III right there that was shooting me on that table. And then I have my big screen TV up there, which you guys can see behind me. So that's a little tour of the desk just because I can. And I haven't been live for a few weeks, so I apologize. Let's get back into the chat so you guys know I'm not ignoring you. Just want to turn off a couple things here on my phone. Okay, so let's turn chat back on the air. Okay, chat on the air. Good to have you. As usual, no Ratso tonight, Joe, but thanks for joining me. DJ Ware, it's great to have you as well. Yeah, I don't do SRT. I'm sure that's possible. Coming straight in. I haven't played with that. Some people may say I'm a streaming guru, but when it comes to the other options to stream into my live show, I haven't played with those much, but Tony and Jay have done some videos like that. So has Joe. So I think if you go over to Tony's channel, you can see those streams, but I appreciate that. I don't know what jam that is. Maybe all the things I have in my studio, or maybe your SRT deal. Let me know what you meant exactly by this is my jam. Thank you, David. That's the overview tonight. So what I want to do now is I want to show you guys some slides because I had a great little experience this last week. Let me make some changes here. Box 1, we're going to make EOS R. Box 2, I think I want to make it my laptop. And let's see, box 3, what do I need box 3 to be? I really want box 3 to be my media player 1. So let's go down to media player. Well, let's make it media player, 1. Okay. So let's see what we have up there. Yeah. Okay. So let's go over here to Super Source. Bang. There you go. Let's turn chat off the air for a second. make a little adjustment here. Box 1, let's go over a bit. Tiny U up. And box 2, let's make you a little larger. Bring you over. So one of the things, let's bring box 2, 3 over here, a little bit larger. And we'll just leave it like that. So this weekend, or last week, the reason I didn't stream is I was setting up audio for this gigantic tent. Oh, what happened here? Let's turn this off the air. So that giant tent, and I was, let's see, I have a picture here, I think, of the sound setup. Don't I? Let's see. It's behind us in this shot. So I learned how to set up a big tent. I got some speakers, and you can't really see them. I thought I had a better picture. Oh, here it is. So there's our stage. We built the stage out of plywood, then we set up the speakers. Those speakers are hooked up to a Mackie 16-channel device, and I'm using this crazy tool you see here on the screen. So this is a modern version of the DL16S. We have an older version of this, so you have 16 inputs, and you also have the auxiliaries. You can see some Neutrik connectors on the bottom, so you can actually bring in directly from like a keyboard if you wanted to. You don't have to have a direct box. You can make changes to these outlets on the bottom middle row. The very bottom row are your monitor outputs or your auxiliary outs. So you can use those. So we had 4 monitors on the stage. We had the keyboard in stereo. We had lead guitar in stereo. And I was operating everything from this crazy app. I'm used to having an analog board. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. So here we are setting up this gigantic tent. It came in this trailer. We laid it out on the grass and had to mark all the stakes. Here's Fred. He was guiding us through the process of setting it all up. We hired him to come in. The tent is being purchased by a group of people here in my region, and I connected to them through all the things that I do here in the Tri-Cities, and they needed help. And so I just really wanted to be a part of this event. I wanted to learn how to set up these tents. I've always wanted to be under a big top tent and set it up. I didn't drive any stakes, but I did sew the pieces together, one section. And we have another section that goes up in the middle, but we didn't put it up. Here's a look at that middle section. So the size of that stage, we have another piece that could have gone in this tent. Here we are raising the tent. I'm taking pictures of the guys raising it, no sidewalls on yet. Here's a picture of the tent up, people inside the tent. It was quite incredible to be part of the event and set this thing up. So we had to raise 2 of these poles. There's 3 of them if you put the full-size tent up, and that was crazy. It took like 5 or 6 of us. You got to balance those, and then someone goes outside and tightens up all of the rope on the stakes. Poor Fred was doing almost all of the setup work, so he had to take tape measures and measure the circumference. You have circles on the end. The circular pieces are like half size, and then you sew them together with the main square pieces. And it was just crazy putting this all together, and what a blast. But the big challenge was taking an iPad with this app and using this Mackie device and running sound from it. And I was really, after a week of working with this, I had some people that came in that have used the app before. So the guy that set it up is local here. I've known his father for years, and Austin came to help us set everything up. We got everything EQ'd. We set up the monitors. We set up the effects that we wanted, the reverb we wanted. And then he showed me basically how to use the app. It's not the first time I've touched this app. We played with the sound system a couple times, 2 or 3 months ago, and then a month ago. But this was the first live band that we did with it, with that many pieces. So I've done acoustic guitar and keyboard and 3 vocals before, but this is the first time we did drums, even though the drums were not mic'd until the last night. We did put in a kick mic, so we had a kick drum. But bass was there, lead guitar was there, acoustic guitar was there, a number of vocals, up to 4 to 5 vocalists. Keyboard was stereo, the lead guitar was stereo, everything else was mono, and we had 4 monitors on the stage. All the monitors were individually sent out from the Mackie so that we could adjust what they wanted in that particular monitor. And I think 5 wedges is what we would need to really do an effective job on the stage. And the 2 wedges that we had in the main part of the stage, I rented from a friend of mine. So on the front of the stage, I think you can see wedges there. But yeah, we had 2 big wedges, and then we also borrowed 2 small wedges. So the big wedges were 15 inches, and the small wedges, I think, were only like 6s. So they didn't give us that much audio. So one of them was really close to the drummer. The other one was really close to the keyboard, and the keyboard could still hear the main monitors for vocals. So it was a crazy experience. The reason I'm sharing this is I'm continuing trying to grow as I live stream, and also want to get more involved in live audio. So I joined up with this band of merry men. And again, here is 2 of the main guys I worked with. On the far right is Mike. He's an electrician. He did all our electrical. And in the middle is Blake. He is a musician. He plays keys. He has a high tenor voice. He also plays bass. And then on the far left is a guy that looks a little familiar. It might be me. And then Fred was there the last 2 days and the first day. This thing started setting up the tent on the 29th. We took it down the afternoon of the 4th in the evening. And then we had to, we did these events during that week. We had to get it down before the fireworks display went off in Benton City. In the ball field about 200 yards away was a gigantic firework display. We wanted the tent down, packed up in the trailer before the fireworks went off. And I think we got everything loaded in the tent trailer pretty much by the fact that by 10 minutes before the fireworks went off. And here again, do I have a picture of the trailer? I do. I know I saw it earlier. Huh. I don't see the trailer now. Okay, so weird. I know I have a picture of the trailer. Let me go into my still images here for tonight. Okay, let's see. And I'll get back to the chat. Please stand by. Live show tonight is July 11th. April 11th, July, where are you? July 11th. Trailer, there it is. How did that disappear here? Okay, so here's the trailer. So it's a big trailer, very heavy. This is us when it first pulled in the lot. I got to be there, and I brought in a motorhome to use as a place for me to cool off. From my friends at Click It RV. Thank you very much, Union Gap, Washington. And so I picked that up in Sunnyside, met them halfway, and then drove it back to Benton City while the trailer was being towed from Grandview at another tent location, and now it's in Connell. Last Wednesday, we delivered to Connell. So that's the big trailer that this giant tent goes in. And I'm telling you what a incredible experience raising this thing up. So imagine another square section in the middle. This thing can seat, I think we could squeeze in about 300 people the way it was. We only had 250 some odd chairs, but there was plenty of room for more chairs. And if we added the other section, then you can add a whole nother, I think it's like 100 more chairs to 150, depending on how tight you make the rows. So being under this was quite surreal. So just wanted to give a shout out. I told you guys I'd tell you a little bit about that. Running sound, live sound in a tent, nothing for it to bounce off of in this giant field. This field was probably 5 football fields big. And this is right before we raised up the center 2 giant stakes. And again, here's a close-up look at that giant stake from that angle. And I think I have one other picture here. Here we are under with that giant pole going up inside the tent. So crazy experience, but I had an absolute blast. So I wanted to talk about that tonight. So running sound from that app was quite the experience. I don't know if anybody else here has experienced running that app. Let me minimize this and get back in here. Take you guys through this app real quick. Let's go like this, right here. So this is just slides from their site. So here's the main page. Actually, no, that's reverb. Let's go up here. That's the EQ, so you can EQ the room speakers. Here's the main page. And on the right there, you can see main. If you tap on main, it gives you the ability to change to all the other pages. So you could have FX. There's 4 FX banks in it. So you could have 4 different effects inside ready to go, assigning those to whoever you want. You could assign them to monitors if you wanted to. You could assign them to the mains. So let's just go through here. That's main channel as well. You can see you can actually do icons on the bottom. So you got a picture of a bass there, tom, hi-hat, kick. So you could have a whole group of drums to mix it separately. So you can do groups. You have all the ability to route inside this app. Quite incredible what this thing will do. Here you have the lower section that you can access for VCAs, for submixes, effects mixing, auxiliary mixing, left-right mixing. Let's keep going here. There you see on the bottom, you have auxiliary outputs. You have FX1, FX2, FX3. So you can adjust the volumes of that. You can go do individual mixes for each of these. You got mains there, different mute groups, different solo groups. Here's the EQ. So you can EQ 4 bands on each microphone, so you can do high-pass filters. Pretty crazy. And then also you have EQ, you have compression, all of that available as well. And all this from a iPad. It's pretty crazy because here's some of the current show setup, so you can save your shows and bring them up later. So that's pretty much that. So here are all those different pages from inside the app. And here's a different Mackie setups that you can get. Here's a Dante expansion card that's available for the Mackies. And you can see that they have different sizes, 16, 32, 32R wireless digital, and then the Dante. So pretty crazy. And then again, this is the one similar to the one that we used. And we had 16 inputs, and we used pretty much all of those inputs because we had music coming in as well from a computer. So that was taking up 2 inputs to do that in stereo in the house. So this is actually kind of what I'm thinking about. So I wanted to wrap up tonight's show letting you know that I'm considering buying a sound system, and I'm really paying close attention to Allen and Heath boards, the SQ5. Again, all 3 of these boards have the same amount of channels, same amount of buses, but they have more faders. So the first one, the SQ5, which I'm thinking about getting, fits inside a rack mount case, so you can do a flight case. Then if you want to go wider, you can do the SQ6. There's a lot of venues now that are using Allen and Heath. And then there's the SQ7. And what you're doing is you're getting more faders, but yet you're not getting any more channels. And then you can add these cards. You have 2 apps, for phone app and a iPad app. And then you can add these different cards in the back, and I'll show you pictures of that. So you can add a Dante card, an extra SQS link. What that lets you do is then you could go to another board. So let's say you wanted to have a front of house board and then a board on the stage, then they can communicate all together through this SQ link. You can add a Waves plugin. That means you could have all the Waves plug-in like you'd use in a recording studio. You can add that with no latency, very little latency at all, and you could use those plugins while you're mixing live. So you could do like a studio type mix live using that. And then they have the SQ MADI input as well, card, and we'll go. And then you actually have remote audio snakes that you can get. So all the way up to this 4816. So they have different size snakes. I'll probably end up getting this 2412 for the stage, but pretty incredible the things that Allen and Heath has available here. Let me go back a page. And let me see if I can find the thing I wanted to show you. Here's a close-up look at the board and the screen. And somewhere up here, there are pictures. Let's click on it. Product images. So here's a look at that board up close. Here's the back with the Dante card in. It comes like this with no card in the back. Here's all the back of it. So you could just run a snake if you wanted to, or you can come out the SQ output on the bottom right, and then that would let you go through a snake, like a cat snake, up to, I don't know how many feet, I think it's like 400 feet, but you can go up to the stage and then hook it up to a snake on the stage. So quite the board. It retails for about $4,000. If you put one of the plugins in, it's like a minimum of $1,000. And then you got to buy speakers and monitors. So it is a big investment, but I would love to get your guys' input on that. So let's turn chat on the air and let me catch up with you guys. Sorry for rambling so long about that. So back, David says that's the kind of content he enjoys, what we're talking about tonight. Chrome is on Jay's laptop always, and OBS is on a different PC. Well, that helps separate things. DJ Ware says, how many people did you need to raise the big top? Well, so we had about 10 volunteers throughout the day, but to lift up those 2 poles, you have to do them simultaneously. 4 big guys, but we had 5 to 6 people. Some of us were big, some of us weren't that big, but I think we had 10 volunteers lifting those 2 poles, a couple supervisors, but it was crazy. And then you have this, before you raise the poles, you have the side poles cross over. And I think I have a picture of that. Yeah, this is what it looks like. Those poles are crossed behind Fred there. And then you just raise them up. Once you get the main stakes up, you just stand them straight up, and then you tighten all the ropes all the way around. Then they have a come along. So you get on either side of the main seam poles first. So both ends, and then the seam poles, and you use a ratchet on both sides, and you tighten it up, and then you tighten up the ropes. So you go all the way around with a come along ratchet, and that's how you get the tent super tight. And then you're also pretty much required to do 2 stakes in those poles that surround the tent. Again, all the way around. You can see Fred there. Turn chat off the air. Each one of those poles you see there, once you get them stood up and you get everything tightened up, then you're actually going to put 2 stakes in the ground so that the wind can't lift the tent. those strings hold the stake down, but it can't pull those stakes sideways and then all of a sudden flip the tent down on top of people. So you stake the round bottom of those poles all the way around, and it's crazy. So, and we had more poles, more stakes, because there's a whole nother piece that could be put in there. So the tent is going to Connell. I plan on running sound in Connell. It's also going to, in September, that's August. In September, it's going to be possibly in Pasco. A friend of mine in Pasco needs the tent. So we may do it right in Pasco in town. That was the back end of a giant field behind an elementary school in Benton City. And then the tent right now is in Connell, and I have not seen the location for the tent in Connell. They're talking about 12 locations, and so I may have the gig to run sound for all those days at all 12 locations. So that is kind of fun for me. So TVJ, I got a used TV studio that is rack mounted. Okay, that's answer to his question, because TVJ is now using a TV rack mounted studio, a used one. Love the audio gear. Yeah, I love the audio gear too, but I don't love the price. So I have some money in my account. I could pull the trigger. It would take just about everything I have in my account, my business account, to buy the speakers, the stands, the subwoofers, and some monitors. But then again, I can then go do live sound after I get a chance to do all these events and really learn how to do it. I would be using the Allen and Heath board if I start doing the live sound, but they own that Mackie board. So if I do it for them, I would be using the Mackie board. The good news is if I take my equipment, we'll be able to use the two speakers that they have as floor monitors because they're powered. And then we'd be able to add 2 extra subwoofers. So I would have 2 subs, most likely QSC. I really like the QSC monitors and the subs. And so I'll probably have QSC speakers with subs. Then they would have subs as well. So that would give us really good low end, because nothing's really but your chest inside the tent catching that sub frequency. So we might have a couple of those, especially for a bass player, so we can go direct in this inside the tent. So quite an experience doing it from beginning to end. And I was there every day for sound checks. Some days I was learning, some days I was running sound, but what an incredible experience. So what are your thoughts? If any one of you have any experience with Allen and Heath boards, question number 1. Are you streaming right now from an ATEM Mini Pro? Question number 2. So yes or no, ATEM Mini Pro, yes or no, if you have any experience with Allen and Heath, any experience with Mackie mixers or this app. It's called Master Fader. It's right here. I'll switch this back on. Super source here. So it's called Master Fader, and it can run on the phone, though it's very limited on an iPhone. And it can also run on an iPad. So we had an iPad the whole time. So I will copy this link in tonight's description right now. Well, I'll do it later because I don't have it open right now. And then you have a iPad app as well as a phone app for the Allen and Heath QS5s. And again, if you go with the QS5, you're getting a rack mountable device. And if you go with the bigger QS6 and 7, you're getting more faders, and those are more for, you can put those in a case as well and put it on a desk when you get there. But I think having the faders available on this device right here, and you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 faders, and then you can bank over, and then you have the other faders right here for doing auxiliaries or your mains or whatever. And so, again, lots of ability, effects you can load into it. Effects come with it. It's pretty intuitive. So check that out. I'll put a link to the QS5 in the description. I'll also put a link to what Mackie has available in the description tonight. I'll put a link to Master Fader. Again, I'm not being paid or promoted. I just thought it'd be cool to share with you guys that I got a chance to be in a tent and play around with Master Fader and using the Mackie equipment. And I'm also had a chance to play around with the QSE board at a local music store in my area. The same guy I rented the floor monitors from. He does big installs in local venues. I'm hoping to have him on the channel. So you got Matt Elliott, who does live sound around the area, who told me he would do some mentoring with me so I can go to some of his events. But he is not using the Allen and Heath board. I think he is using a Midas board when he does his sound. And then he also works for a giant sound company, Gary Ford Audio. And I don't know what consoles they're using, but I do want to go to some of those events and see how he's EQing and see what he's doing with gates and all of that. It will be a lot of fun to go and do that. So we have streamed to a streaming bridge from an ATEM Mini Pro using my Canon EOS, my Canon 5D Mark III. We have actually done a latency latency We have used the audio from a RodeCater Pro tonight. We have streamed into an extreme ISO. We have used SuperSource to look at both the Mackie stuff, the tent that I got a chance to go run sound in, setting up the tent, which is something I volunteered to do, which was an absolute blast. And then we also looked at the Allen and Heath board that I'm considering getting. I just have to make sure I'm making the right decision. So if it creates another stream of income as I move closer to retirement, that would be great. Then I would probably, if I wasn't making an income from it, I would probably sell it. But it would be top-notch equipment, so it holds its value pretty well, even when you sell those QSE speakers used or the Allen and Heath boards used. In fact, I looked on Marketplace on Facebook and couldn't find a used one. So anyway, okay, so back in the chat. I will do a tour of my setup on Monday. It's a whole portable fly pack that I got a good deal on. Awesome. I will make sure I try to be there on Monday. Jay, so go over and check out TVJ's page. Cool. Well, oh, I just saw a bunch of chat that I missed earlier. What happened? Did it just update? Weird. No, these are, looks like they all haven't been clicked on, but they are old chats. Make sure they are old. Yeah, they're old chats. I don't know what just happened, but everything became unhighlighted. So any last comments, questions, input? Like questions like that you guys want to ask before we go off the air tonight. This is the last of my retro streams. Next week, we'll be back in the studio. I'm hoping to do an IT tour of all of the wireless equipment up on the mountain over at my friend's house. Mark, who does the IT, have him live in the studio. I'm hoping we'll get all of the stuff done to do that next week. I do have a commitment on Saturday, so I may have to postpone that a week, but I will let you guys know. I'll try to put a still image up on Monday next week to let you guys know so you have plenty of time to plan. But that was a request right here from people who are on the channel, so thank you for that. So hopefully we'll get Mark in the studio. We'll do a tour. We'll have some video footage of up on the mountain, the Country Mercantile, where it receives the mountain signal. That goes from wave to analog, back to wave again, shoots to my house. Crazy. And that comes into my house, into my unified network. We're going to do a tour of that as well. I'm going to show off the switch that I have in my studio. I also have a couple Netgear switches I use. And be on the table with Mark to answer questions. He is a IT guru in the area. And the only reason he did all this local work and provides me with internet access is because he could not get internet at his new home. So he put up a tower in his yard. We're going to look at that tower. And that then became the beginning of him offering it in our neighborhood. So I have a receiver on the back of my house, which you guys will see. My mother-in-law has a receiver on the back of her house, and we get our signal from the Country Mercantile. And so we're going to show you my house from the Country Mercantile, and we're going to show you the Country Mercantile from my house, and that will all be in that live stream. If I don't get that done by next week, we will have another stream on live streaming next week, and I may have some new tech in my studio. We'll just have to see. So let me know if you think I should pull the trigger and spend all my money on a sound equipment like an Allen & Heath QS5 and any other input that you like on those two questions in the chat. So let's see. I don't know if Aaron has updated his chat plugin, Jay. DJ Ware says I had a 16-channel Mackie board when I did a home recording, but never liked the pre's. The Allen & Heath the boards are very good in my limited experience. Yeah, the preamps are going to be way better, I think, on the Allen & Heath, as well as just in general, the build quality should be way higher. You can, you're going to invest lots of money when you go Allen & Heath, especially the QS5 series. But that engine that's inside the QS5 is actually from one of their higher end consoles. So in my opinion, the latency when you're adding effects is almost insignificant. That's important as well, because every time you add effects in a channel, you add latency. So any update on Studio B? No, we've been on hold in Studio B for a number of reasons. The biggest reason is my oldest son, Christopher, who's been on my channel before, and my adopted daughter and my granddaughter have had a bunch of things going on in their world. And so I actually literally took a number of weeks with that. And so that took me really off course for being able to do Studio B. We're still talking about Studio B. I've had quotes and bids on Studio B. I probably will do all of the work myself because my labor is free. But I got quotes on heat pumps, air conditioners in there. I've been looking at how I'm going to drain those air conditioners, because they have to be drained outside the house. And then the compressors have to be outside the house, the condensers, the transfers. Then all the audio gear that's going to go in there. I will have RodeCater Pro 2 in there, but I might even have a QSC 5 inside that studio. So in reality, Jay, I'm really limited by the money. If I go towards this QSC remote gear to get some more income, that the income will then go back into things like Studio B. So right now it's on hold. Also, my mother-in-law, which is a big pivotal thing, she has been diagnosed with cancer. She had a whole bunch of radiation treatments. The radiation's been done now. She gets to go see a doctor, I think, in another 2 weeks to see how much it shrunk the cancer. She's feeling better. Things have changed around my house, and she would then probably, if that cancer got worse, move into this studio. I would move into Studio B. And that's what we're looking at. She has a house next door. So a lot of little things affecting that. And I'm glad you're excited about the Wi-Fi tour, Jay. That's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, Mark is a great guy, very intelligent, very fun. We might even do a behind the scenes video. He loves coffee, pouring in the milk to make different characters in espresso coffees. So it's really cool. So I'll bring some footage of that. That's one of his hobbies. I loaned him my this lens at one point, macro lens. This is the 100 mil macro from Canon, and I loaned it to him. He shot some footage from a camera that he has, and that was a lot of fun. So I'll bring some footage of that. I'll bring some footage of all these locations. That whole stream will be about what Mark has done in my house and other houses in the area, as well as his house. And his house is on the other side of the highway, so I think he has a drone license. So if I'm pretty sure he has his drone license, so we'll get some drone footage and show you kind of an overview of what things look like. He's on the other side of the highway. I'm on this side of the highway, and he has a tower that can see the mountain from his side of the highway, and I have a receiver on the back of my house that can see Country Mercantile, and then Country Mercantile has a receiver getting satellite microwave from a tower on top of the mountain. So lots of fun that's going to be. So, okay, I think that's it. It's been an hour and a half tonight. I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. In just a minute, we're going to run the outro. If you enjoyed this stream, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. The likes will help. My channel's been slowing down because I've been so busy with family stuff all throughout June and the last part of May. I haven't had anything but shorts go up on my channel. I am working with the Stream Deck Plus plugin by Sideshow Effects for Premiere Pro. Been playing around with editing it, so I'm getting ready to shoot a video on that. But I want to make sure I know what every single one of the buttons, that plugin buttons do. And I think there's like over 800 different buttons available in that plugin for the Stream Deck Plus. So that will be up on the channel pretty soon. I am going to do another behind the scenes HyperDeck video pretty soon. So if you have any great ideas for videos for my channel, please put those in the comments or email me, and check out the link below later if you did not get my email today, for a link to my page for subscribing to my webpage. And occasionally I'll send out an alert on that. So cool. Thank you guys for joining for the stream. You, David, thank you very much. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. DJ Ware, thank you very much. If you commented, I'm just waiting for those to populate in my Wacom tablet. But again, I hope you enjoyed me streaming from the table through a streaming bridge and all the other things that we covered tonight. So thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. And if there's anybody else that you have in your circle you would like to invite on Tuesdays for our live streams, please do. You have a couple weeks, maybe a week or 2 weeks before Mark comes on. That'll be a lot of fun, and I look forward to answering or having him answer your questions and giving you a behind-the-scenes tour here in the studio. I am going to edit that video and put it on my channel as an uploaded video, but your likes, your thumbs up, your shares are very important to me. And also, thank you so much for subscribing. Pretty soon, we're going to pass 2,000 subscribers if all works out. We'll see when that takes place. That is quite incredible when you think about the journey from my perspective from the very beginning. So, again, thank you for joining me tonight. This is Keith, Life Journey Production Studios, and I hope to see each and every one of you here in the next live stream on Tuesday. For now, good night, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.